Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
I wrote her a check for $1,400.
You wrote her a check for $1,400?
Yes.
And did you pick up any energy or vibe or spirit or presence or anything?
No, I didn't pick up many bad energies, no bad entities in the room. What I did come across was her deceased husband.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Elizabeth Singer claims she hired the defendant to rid her house of paranormal activity and says it's still haunted after 3 appointments. Ms. Singer is suing Wanda Richmond in the amount of $1,400.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties have been sworn, Your Honor.
Judge Eboni Thomas. So, Ms. Singer, you had a situation where you hired Ms. Richmond, and now you're not happy with the services she rendered.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are someone who believes in paranormal activities and ghosts and things of that nature.
100%.
Okay. You're not alone. About a third of the folks in the United States believe in some sort of ghosts or spirits. So what was the situation that you found yourself in?
Well, me and my husband moved to Peabody, Massachusetts about 2 years ago.
Yes.
And shortly after, I say about 3 months into our move, he passed away in his sleep.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
After his death, I began to see different things in the house. I would come home from work.
What did you see?
Doors would be open. I would see dark shadows, flying past me. I would leave my remote on the edge of the table and come home from work, and it would be on the kitchen table.
Okay. You had a situation with objects, the remote, anything else?
Just doors opening, cups falling off of the counters, just different types of paranormal activities. And from what I seen, there was no other explanation for it.
So how does Miss Richmond come into the picture? Miss Richmond, you work in this space.
Yeah. Ever since I was young, I've had a strange connection with the outside realm, the spiritual realm.
This is an area that I'm a little challenged by, but I know a lot of people subscribe to this sort of ideology. And as it turns out, online directories, there are over 3,000 paranormal groups in the United States. So I'm like, okay, well, clearly folks are utilizing their services and hiring them. How long have you been doing this, Ms. Richmond?
I've been doing this, well, let's say professionally for about 25 years, but I've been having this
You don't
connection.
even look that old.
No, I'm 38, thank you.
Okay, so you started doing this at 13?
Yeah, actually, it first started when I was 7. I lost my mother. And my father didn't believe me. He thought I had imaginary friends.
You were just traumatized by the loss of your mom.
I lost mommy too. I miss her too. And then afterwards, maybe 3 years later, I had a friend of mine who lost her little brother. He was pulled in by the drift in the ocean. You know what I mean? The rip,
like the tide.
what do you call it? Yes, the tide. He drifted away in the tide. She was beating herself up. She wanted to be able to say goodbye to her. To him, she just wanted some closure. Okay. And it was scary to me at first. In the beginning, it's scary. You're young.
What was scary?
Just the fact that I can hear other people's voices.
And you could hear her brother.
Yes, I thought I was dreaming, but I was not. He was standing next to me over my bed.
And you had a conversation with her detailing what you had experienced?
Yes, something similar to like I had with my mother when I was younger. Everyone thought I was crazy, in our immediate circle. They're like, oh yeah, she saw your brother, but it really brought her comfort. She was getting back to herself, smiling more, interacting more.
And when people contact you, you indicate to them, if I come out, there's a fee, this is the process, this is how this works.
And sometimes I find things, sometimes I don't,
Okay.
Everybody's situation is different.
All right.
Okay.
Did she explain all that to you, that sometimes she's not going to be able to give you any help or assistance?
Well, she let me know that there would be a fee for her investigation.
Before she came out?
Before she came out.
And how much is the fee, ma'am?
It's $200 for the consultation, $800 for the walkthrough, and I charged her $200 for any other time afterwards. She wanted me to do a checkup.
All right, so the consultation for $200, what do you get when you do that?
talk to her about her experiences.
This is just something you do on the phone, or you do it in
No,
person?
I come to her in person and I talk to her about her experiences.
She explained to you that if I come over, it's going to be $200, and this is what the process is going to be.
Yes, she told me that there would be a $200 consultation fee.
Okay.
After that, she would charge me $800 to do a walkthrough of the
Everything
house.
she just told me.
Yes, everything she told you was
You
correct.
said to her, what in response to that?
I told her, okay, I wanted to go forward
You were
with
okay with paying $1,000 for an initial consultation and a walkthrough.
Yes.
And how did you pay that? Was it credit card, cash? What, did you
I
have to-
wrote her a check for $1,400.
You wrote her a check for $1,400.
Yes.
All right. I got the $200 for the consult and the $800 for the walkthrough. And did you said there was some sort of follow-up $200?
Yes, after I did my initial walkthrough, I did several for her just to put her at ease.
How long was the walkthrough?
About 30 minutes.
And this was in the actual home.
Yes, I walked
And did you
through
pick
her
up
home.
any energy or vibe or spirit or presence or anything?
No, I didn't pick up many bad energies, no bad entities in the room. What I did come across was her deceased husband.
Coming up on America's Court.
You wanted her to come back 2 more times.
Well, I'm feeling like, okay, well, you're doing your job. If you say that it's my husband, if nothing else weird happens after that, okay, then we're cool.
Did
But
anything else weird happen?
Yes.
And later,
When she did leave into rehab, I was very clear that I wasn't comfortable holding on to her things, and I came up with a figure of $125 a week
To store.
to store.
closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Elizabeth Singer, who is suing Wanda Richmond for fraud.
You are certain that it was the husband's
Yes.
spirit.
Yes, because he told me he had been watching over her, protecting the house, and everything is pretty much fine. He hadn't noticed anything weird. She's just doing a lot of grieving, which makes sense. They've been married for so long. They don't have any kids. Like, they were each other's immediate family. So I've seen many of cases, like I said.
And you charge her $1,000 just to tell her that.
No, I charge her $200 to find out what she's going
No, I'm
through.
saying you went through the walkthrough, and that's when you picked up his presence.
Yes.
$200 for the consult, $800 for the walkthrough, $200 for the aftercare. That's $1,200. Where's the additional $200?
Because I told her that I wanted her to do additional walkthroughs just to be sure that everything
Just
was
to
okay.
make sure I
to-
maintain.
But after the 30 minutes of her saying, it's your husband, he's saying, I know you're grieving, but it's just me, you're good. You wanted her to come back 2 more times.
Well, I'm feeling like, okay, well, you're doing your job. If you say that it's my husband, if nothing else weird happens after that, okay, then we're cool.
Did
But-
anything else weird happen?
Yes.
Well, wait a minute. She left and then she came back 2 times.
After she left the initial time when I gave her the payment,
Yes.
I say about 2 days after that.
But what happened the next day?
The next day, everything was fine.
There were 2 follow-up visits.
Yes.
How much time went by after the 2 days? Was that a week?
I asked her to come out immediately after that.
And when you say immediately, was it a day, a 2-day thing, a week?
That day, after that second day, when things started getting weird again, I called her that following morning, which is
And
the
when
third
did she
day.
come?
She came out that following day.
That's not how it happened. A week went by. I asked her if everything was fine. She said yes, but she would feel better if I came through and did another walkthrough.
Did she complain about anything strange happening
No,
during
she
that
didn't.
duration?
No, I came through a week after the second walkthrough, and I did another, and that's when everything was still fine. She hadn't noticed anything weird. 2 days after that walkthrough, that's when she told me that she had either even more scratches on her arm, and
Scratches
that she saw.
something was scratching you and you didn't know what it was?
I knew exactly what it was. I told her that the spirit was not my husband, that there was something wrong. So when she came out that
Well,
third
how did
day,
you know if you don't have expertise in this area, if it's your husband or not?
because before I told her it wasn't my husband. My
How do you
husband,
know
he wasn't
that?
a violent man when he was alive. I'm sure he wouldn't be violent after.
Well, what does the scratches on your arm have to do with whether or not he was a
Not
violent
only
man?
scratches, but bruises as well.
You just would wake up and you would
I
have
would wake up
scratches
and
and
have
bruises.
scratches, bruises the size of golf balls on the back of my arms.
And there's nobody in the house with you?
Nobody in the house
No
with me.
pets? No-
Actually,
I have
that's
cats.
not true. She has 6 cats, and I noticed that on my way out.
Okay, hold up. I'm trying to keep my sanity here.
Yeah, me too.
You live with 6 cats.
Yes, sir.
Did you have the cats while the husband was
Yes,
alive?
sir, I did.
Okay, so you enjoy cats.
Yes.
All right, and are they?
They sleep in the bed with her.
They sleep in the bed with you.
2 of them do, yes. My cats are non-violent, they're not bad animals. Even when she was there, she didn't notice the cats until she seen the litter box from the
Got
cats.
it. Okay.
Well, she says they run and hide whenever people are around.
Okay. Is that true?
Yes, sir, it is.
But that's why she didn't see him.
Exactly. At this point,
Duh.
Your Honor, there are a lot of people who don't believe what I do.
I'm a little challenged myself right about now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been
And yet,
dealing with
like
it
I said,
forever.
I know this is a thing. I know some people subscribe to it. Here's the issue. The law is concerned on, did this person perform a service? Did they not perform the service? Did they do so negligently? Did they fail to exercise care? I have to base it on a set of circumstances because this isn't something that's routine.
Right, and as I explained to her, Your Honor, in the beginning, sometimes I go into these homes and I find things and sometimes I don't. That's just the reality of it. Some people are actually experiencing things and some people are just kind of crazy. I'm not a psychiatrist. I am
just
a
really wants to
paranormal
leave it.
investigator. I can only do so much, but I did do my job and I did it very well. I can't help that I didn't give her the outcome that she expected.
Okay, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel has to come down in favor of the defendant. I just don't have enough evidence for you to meet your burden. And anytime you come to court, you have to produce evidence and testimony that gives me a preponderance of evidence. I don't need 100%, but I need at least 50 plus 1. And I don't have that here with you.
I don't agree.
But that's fine. But your matter's dismissed. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been dismissed.
To Elizabeth, I forgot to tell you that your husband said he loves you very much and that everything is going to be okay, and he actually would not mind if you've seen other people.
I think that she ripped me off. I don't agree with what the judge said. $1,400, she didn't provide me any services, and she's a con artist.
Coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
You said, I'm going to start charging you $125 per week. And what was your response?
I told her no way. I said absolutely not.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Carla Valcom claims she asked her ex-roommate to store some personal items for her while she was in rehab and says the defendant refuses to return them. Ms. Valcom is suing Lynn Tasso in the amount of $2,000. Ms. Tasso is countersuing for $2,000.
Ms. Valcom, you're suing for $2,000. You either want your belongings back or the money.
Yes, sir.
Prove your case.
I had met Ms. Tasso. She offered me a place to live, and my lease was up.
How long did you stay there?
8 months.
8 months. Was that a problem for you, Ms. Tasso?
At the time, I had compassion for Carla, so I agreed to release her from her lease.
And the compassion was based on what?
That was based on the fact that she had a drug addiction.
So, Ms. Valcom, what's the drug that you've been struggling with?
Methamphetamine. And so with the matter of my things, or before I actually had checked myself into rehab, I was worried that I would sell off the handful of remaining things I had left.
Oh, it was like that.
And so I had asked Ms. Tasso if she would keep them safe for me, because I was afraid that I was going to sell them myself for extra cash.
I take it you had a good relationship with Ms. Valcom.
We had a fairly good relationship, yes.
And you agreed that you would keep some of her personal belongings?
Well, this is where the story differs, because
Okay.
I feel like that Carla may have a little bit of a memory lapse.
There's a little haze there.
Yeah, there's a little haze there. I did agree to hold on to her stuff while she was living with me. And then when she did leave into rehab, I was very clear that I wasn't comfortable holding on to her things. I have a very small place.
Well, what are we talking about in terms of items that you were holding on to?
There's a fairly large handbag, there's some jewelry, there's a watch. So it was like a nice size box.
Coming up on America's Court.
I don't discount that these items don't have sentimental value. You yourself said I was at a dark place to the point where I was willing to even sell those things.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Carla Valcom, who is suing Lynn Tasso for property loss.
All right, let me make sure I'm understanding. There's a bag, there's jewelry, there's a watch. And I recognize that you're also countersuing Ms. Valcom for $2,000. Where does the 2,000 figure come from?
Okay, well, I had her things for 16 weeks.
Yes.
And I came up with a figure of $125 a week.
To store?
To store.
How long had you held those things before you said?
When she was living with me, it was about 9 weeks.
You're saying, if I'm hearing correctly, then that you held these items for 25 weeks.
Yes, I did.
And after 9 weeks, you said, I'm going to start charging you $125 per week to
if you don't come and get them.
Earrings, a watch,
Yes.
and a handbag.
Yes.
And what was your response?
I told her, no way. I said, absolutely not. I can't. First of all, I can't afford to pay you that. Second of all, I don't owe you anything because we never signed any
That was your
paperwork.
response to her?
Yes. I don't have very many things. And so these things, they're from, it's my grandmother. My grandmother gave me this watch. My mother has given me these earrings. Like, I don't
discount that these items don't have sentimental value. You yourself said, I was at a dark place to the point where I was willing to even sell those things. What I keep hearing, which is why I keep going back to this, is you told her I'm gonna charge you $125. She said, please don't charge me. And did she say anything else?
She said someone will come and pick them up at the end of the week.
And then what did you say in response?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But no one ever came.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. Promotional consideration provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
When I hear you say that my response to that was okay, what I don't hear is a contract. That's a problem. Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, we're going to start with your initial claim. The gavel is going to come down in favor of the plaintiff. Those items belong to her. She is entitled to them. I don't know what the value of those items are, but for the sake of having a discussion here, you're either going to have to return those items to her, and I will give you 10 business days to do so.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Or you will pay $2,000 because I don't have any sense of what this is, but something tells me you're gonna get rid of that stuff if you gotta come out of pocket $2,000. As for your counterclaim, that's not gonna happen. Because I don't get the sense that there was ever a meeting of the minds of the two parties that this is the amount, yes, I will pay it. Your own documentation that you have for me doesn't reflect an amount. That in and of itself makes this void. Your matter's dismissed. You'll get your items in 10 days or $2,000. That is the order. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to return the items within 10 days or pay $2,000.
I am so relieved that the judge awarded me my things back. You know, I'm really excited just to move forward with my life.
Carla is a master manipulator, and unfortunately, she manipulated Judge Ross in this case.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.